Kat, Chad, Curtis, and Rhonda are nominated for eviction, but who will win the Topaz and Emerald power of vetoes? Find out now on Big Brother Cheesecake 5 All-Stars. Hello, I'm Andrew Shevsik Moonves. Welcome to Big Brother Cheesecake 5 All-Stars. It's day 55 inside the Big Brother Cheesecake house, and this week Chantel is the head of household in a double eviction week. She nominated Kat, Curtis, Chad, and Rhonda for eviction, but the Topaz Power Veto will change the nominations. Who will win it? We'll find out shortly. But first, this is the third week in a row that I'm filming the Sunday episode late in the afternoon because there was a delay in the veto competition. So it's my third sunset episode. It's 4:49 now, and you can tell that I get beautiful sunsets just by seeing that sort of orange glow from the next room over. So yeah, I love facing southwest because you get the sun all day and then you get to see the sunset, which I love. Because sunrise, I'm always asleep for. I mean, who's up for that? Unless you're up like Jonathan the night before, you're up all night. But anyway, quick announcements. Tomorrow, Joanne will finally get her roast from last week's Yankee Swap competition. I was not happy with the celebrity guests roast, but I should have had Chad do it. Chad roasted Lisa last season and was very mean, but then I had to water it down because Lisa's sensitive, blah, blah, blah. And then Lisa's like, oh yeah, what else you got? And I'm like, you wanted it watered down. But yeah, I should have made Chad do it. But it's okay. It was okay. I told him to just insult Joanne for 45 seconds. And he's like, but I don't know her. And I'm like, I don't care. So, you know what? I bet Charlene would have done it. But the point of a roast is to be funny about it. And I feel like Charlene would have just been mean. Wouldn't have actually made anything funny. So that's tomorrow. Tuesday is Kat and Chantel's birthday, where a special guest will be here to make a special, to bake something very special for them. And quite frankly, I've already tried it. It is delicious. Okay. First, before we get to the results of the Topaz Power Veto competition, we had yesterday a luxury competition. It was a special luxury competition where there was a murder in Redemple Temple. Joanne was innocent because she was filming a sex video with Mike, and at the bottom with the old camcorder, you know how it used to say EP, the date and the time? That was there, so that's proof that she didn't do it. So it was one of 6 suspects. Colonel Dijon Mustard, Miss Scarlet Bobo, Mr. Green Apple, Betty White, Mrs. Penis Cock, and Professor Plumpton. When I said bon chance, a house guest could make an accusation. And if they were right, they would win 20 All-Star dollars. If they were wrong, they were eliminated. What the house guests did not realize is that this was not just a luxury competition. This actually had to do with the veto competition. What I mean by that is, I decided, originally I was going to, look at that sunset. It's so cute. Originally I decided, it looks like it's like a fiery, fire. See, Jonathan, if you were to date me, we could watch the sunset together. No? Fine. I'm not giving up. Where the hell was I? The competition. Oh, I was originally going to be the only judge for Suburban Suburbia, but I decided that I didn't want people to tailor-make their streets for me. And I didn't want to potentially be biased if I knew, or if I figured who sent what. So I decided to have 6 judges. I did not want the point structure to be the same as Mr. Universe, because I like to change it up and mix it up. So I came up with a new design where there were 6 judges in a specific order. And I'll explain why in a minute. But I had to randomize an order. And so I decided that the house guests were going to decide the order. So the first person, after I said bon chance, was Jonathan. And he accused Professor Plumpton, which was incorrect. Spoiler alert, they were all incorrect. You were just deciding an order, and whoever happened to be 6th was the winner. So Professor Plumpton was Nick, because Nick kind of looks like Professor Plum if you look at the board game. So Nick became judge number one. The next person, when I said bon chance, Aton accused Mr. Green Apple. That was also, well, they're incorrect. And judge number two, who was Mr. Green Apple, was Andrew Mijiak, who our mothers worked at Air Canada together. And actually, Lindsay, your mom knows his mom. All the Air Canada moms had coffee together. And so I knew him from at the time we were like 4 years old, jumping in bouncy castles together. I remember I cried at his house once when I didn't get my way. Sounds about right. And I remember once at Sherway Gardens, his mother, she's so funny. She goes, "Why don't you guys check out what's new at Sport Locker?" And we were like, "Do you mean Sport Check or Foot Locker?" Yeah. He did not go to St. Michael's College School for Demented Sex Perverts. He went to De La Salle, and then I think he went to U of T. And he also got his master's, I believe, in urban planning from Queen's University. So somebody with an urban planning background. So we have Nick, who played last season and who is a Big Brother fan. And he has a job too. He actually, congratulations, Nick. He was just hired as a student recreation coordinator at Duville College. Total guess there, but something in that realm. And Andrew recently moved to Vancouver, and I'm also very proud of Andrew, if you're watching, which you're not. He, a couple of years ago, suffered from testicular cancer, and he was very open about it on social media. And what I find is very brave and courageous, in that there's a stigma around men's health that you can't talk about, male-related diseases because men are butch and men hide their feelings and blah, blah, blah. And the fact that he, opened up about it and talked about it is, being a good role model for when other men get any kind of diseases associated with men. And it's not his fault. So what? One of his balls grew cancer. That's not his fault. Why should he be ashamed of that? It's the same as any other cancer in the body. So, and I still think he's hot regardless, but of course he's straight. And he always has some lucky bitch that he's in a relationship with. It's very annoying. But anyway, so where the hell was I? Yeah, so this hot guy, Andrew, is the second judge. So then, after I said bon chance the second time, I forgot who it was. I'm going to say Brazil said Betty White. I think. It doesn't really matter because it's not going to be right. Or Nicole. Nicole said Betty White. Betty White is Tiffany's mother, Linda. This is why we took so long. Because Tiffany's mother, who is known for shouting out, "COVID, COVID, I have COVID," in the middle of Square One as a joke, thinking that's funny. I'll admit I laughed. But only because I know how crazy she is. But she should not have done that. She's kind of crazy. That's where Tiffany gets it from. She's a Capricorn, so she's crazy and bossy and stubborn. And I thought I wanted somebody who was older. She's 63-ish. Tiffany's mother, Linda, would not respond to my text messages or calls for 24 hours. And it was really annoying. And in the morning, this morning, I decided, you know what? I have to cut her. She's not responding to me. I called Tiffany. I go, "Where's your mother?" And she goes, "I'm living with Ken now because my mother's a bitch and we got into a fight and so I moved out." So then I called Tiffany's sister, Brittany, and I'm like, "Do you know where your mother is?" "I moved to Aylmer because my mother's a bitch, so I moved out." And I'm like, okay. So I called the house after I couldn't reach her cell phone. I called the house, no answer. I left a message and I said, "Your daughters don't know where you are. I don't know where you are. It's been 24 hours. I'm kind of worried you're dead. Could you call me back, please?" She called me back after the competition was done and said, "I just went out for a walk. Why don't you fucking calm your tits?" Who goes for a walk for 24 hours? Where did you walk? Mexico? So I cut her, and this is why it took so long, and I replaced her with my mother. Which, again, I had no choice. I wanted somebody old. My mother is not the same as Tiffany's mother. Tiffany's mother is crazy. My mother is also crazy, but she's more of those, Debbie Do-Right, everything is perfect. And she thinks she's this, haute couture, rich person who goes to Langdon Hall for high tea and cucumber sandwiches, living the high life because she thinks she's rich, when really she just inherited money when my dad died. But anyway, I hope she's not watching this. So she's very prim and proper. So, I didn't like having to use her, but I had no choice. That's judge number 3. Judge number 4, Mrs. Peniscock. I mean, I'm sure you figure it out now just from thing. I think it was Brazil that said her. I'm Mrs. Peniscock. So I'm judge number 4. I did raise the stakes and say if you get one wrong, you would lose 10 All-Star dollars. And Curtis at one point was wrong. But since he was honest with me and said, hey, I think it was Mrs. Peniscock, hey, you forgot to deduct my score 10 All-Star dollars. And since it was a trick competition anyway, I was like, you know what? It's okay. You keep the money. The aliens are coming. The Martians. Judge number 5 was, I forgot who, I think it was Chad, because he had no money to lose. Colonel Dijon Mustard, which was Shelby. Shelby Taylor, I believe is her last name. She played Phil's Facebook Survivor with me. She betrayed me and voted me out. I was very upset. I tried to hate her, but she's impossible to hate because she's a lovely person. And so she was judge number 5. She's an office manager and a fan of The Office, and she lives in Guelph, so I assume she's one of those like green thumb people that likes to plant trees all day, and she likes camping and shit. So if you went with an outdoorsy theme, you had a bit of an advantage there. Number 6. So then Joanne rang in last with for the last bonus chance with Miss Scarlet Bobo. So she won by being the 6th person. She won 25 All-Star dollars. That is Melanie from season 1. Melanie and Chad did not get along. Chad called her, quote, Mel's hole. And Melanie is a very quirky person, but you remember Jamie from Big Brother US season 1 who ended up like building some cosmetics company and selling it for $105 million? Melanie started some startup called, it was something to do with Bitcoin. And before you know it, she had it was like a 6 or 7 figure company. And then she's like, I'm the CEO now. And I'm like, already? And she goes, yeah. And then she started some other company and she's the CEO of that company. And like her LinkedIn is like all of these like rich things. I'm thinking, how in 3 years did you go from like working at a grocery store to owning like 3 companies and being a millionaire? But I don't know. So anyway, so those are your 6 judges. My mother, myself, Nick, Andrew Mijiak, Shelby Taylor. I hope it's last. I don't know why I think it's Taylor. It must be. And Melanie Tyler. Okay. Before we get to the results, so how it works is let's look first at everybody's submission. So first we have JoJo. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every single street name because that will take forever. But JoJo clearly went with the RuPaul's Drag Race theme, which I like. There are some really good ones in here. I love Cunt Circle. I love Shake Relay Highway. Tic Tac Tuck. How's Your Head RuMall. Backgirls Boulevard. Ben de la Crescent I love. So there are some good ones here. Yeah, for me this is definitely a contender, and it was a strong one in my eyes. Next we have Cat. I loved this one because, of course, Chilltown, it's all Big Brother references. I thought Sovereign 6 Side Road and Brigade Bypass were very creative. Will Kirby Health Center was my favorite hospital name because Will Kirby is a doctor, and it just sounds like a hospital. Floater Diversion, Backdoor Throughway, there was Coup d'etat Way. There were some really, really creative ones here. So this one was very high for me. Janelle Vista, Case Rise, I loved it. Next we have Chad. I like this one. I like the theme of elements. I actually originally thought this was Chantel because of the whole earth, fire, water, astrological stuff. I thought Eternal Flame General Hospital was a great hospital name. I liked Combustion Court, Cosmology Circle, Tranquility Trail, Hot Springs Highway. There were some good ones here, and I liked the theme. Mountain Oak Elementary is a cool one too. So yeah, for me overall, this was a good one. Next we have Rhonda. Quantum Entanglement. This was an interesting one for me. I feel like this was a very hot and cold one where some were fantastic and some were not. I loved Poltergeist Park, Bermuda Triangle Avenue. I loved Area 51 High School, Sixth Sense Elementary, Hallucinations Crescent, Shadowy Strangers Mall. But I will say Remain Circle should have been the circle. And Silent Scream Lane should have been below it. It's a circle. Remain Circle would have worked. Next we have Curtis. I loved funny puns. From the name Funny Puns to all the puns that were there. For instance, My Wits End, I thought was my favorite and funniest street name out of all the street names amongst all 7 people. I loved it. My Wits End. I wish this way and that way connected so that someone can say, I live on the corner of this way and that way. I love Bob Loblaw's Loblaw Grocery. A Rock Street. Psychopath was also funny. DeLong Way for the big circle I liked. Live Long and Prosper. Like, I don't know. Like, these were just some really, really creative, funny puns that just worked, and I loved it. This was definitely a contender for me. Next we have Brazil. I asked Brazil point blank if she meant to not have spaces in any of these streets, like Bed at Sunset Lindsay Lane, like there were no spaces, and she said that's what she meant for. There were some good references in here, like the Joanne's Left Boob, Right Boob, Purplet Parkway, Bye Bye Rye Rye, Bed at Sunset Lindsay. I like the Degrassi thing. I loved Free Healthcare Hospital. This one was good, but for me personally, it wasn't my favorite, but I did like it. And finally, at like 9:58 p.m., right in the last second, Chantal. Some of these were absolutely hilarious. I loved Michael Jackson Memorial Hospital for Plastic Surgery. I loved Tiger Woods' A Fairway. Kanye interrupting Taylor Swift Street. There were just Monica Lewinsky's Blue Dress. I loved that. But the one thing I didn't like, a lot of these streets were too long. I mean, imagine how long the street signs would have to be. They would either have to make the font ridiculously tiny or make the street sign like massive. And there was something else that bothered me about it. Like I wouldn't want, like if I lived on Monica Lewinsky's Blue Dress Lane and I was flying home on a trip and the flight attendant gave me my customs form and where you have to fill in all your address in the boxes, the plane would be landed and everybody would be off the plane by the time I finished putting my address in. So that, I don't know, it was just, some of them were just too long, but Fly on Mike Pence Headway was funny. So very funny, but for me it was a bit too long. Okay, is everybody ready for the results? Well, let's begin. Okay, so here's how the judging works. Judge number 1, Nick, gets to eliminate one of the submissions and advance one of the others to judge number 3, bypassing judge 2. Judge 2 gets to eliminate one and advance one to judge 4. Judge 3 eliminates one and advances one to judge 5. Judge 4 eliminates one and advances one to judge 6. Judge 5 just eliminates one, and Judge 6 gets the final 2 and gets to determine the winner. So each judge is eliminating the one they like the least. So let's see what Nick had to say. Hey everyone, it's me, Nick. I just got off my surfboard after I went surfing in this lovely January day. I just got back inside and I'm gonna watch the sunrise after this. Anyway, this is tough. They all did decently well, but I'm going to eliminate Elements because the other ones just showed more creativity and work. They all had a stronger, clearer theme. For example, Puddle Passage didn't seem like it fit in with Elements. Also, a better name might have saved it. I'm going to advance Chilltown. I love the name, there were clever alliterations, and I'm a huge BB fan, and I recognize all the references. So Chad is eliminated, and Kat advances to judge number 3. Okay, judge number 2 is Andrew Miziak, the urban planner. Here's what he had to say. Eliminating funny puns. It could have been more scandalous. Seems like a neighborhood for gold geezers and not worthy of your epic annual tradition. I'm advancing tabloid scandals because it's spicy. The Kim Kardashian sex tape is worthy of the center of the subdivision. I was surprised by this. I was surprised that the very academic person put the tabloids one through further and took off the funny puns, which was very clever. And I thought the funny puns, for me, it was in my top 2, personally. So that was a surprise. So Curtis, you are eliminated. Chantal advances to judge number 4. So judge number 3, Kat is back in it now. It's Kat, Rhonda, Chantal advances, Brazil, and somebody else. I forgot. Judge number 3 was my mother. So my mother hated them all, as I suspected. But she decided to put them... So she decided... I noticed that... Well, she decided that each one was worse than the one before. So the first one she heard was Cats, and she was like, "Oh, Andres, that's awful! Oh, that's his terrible name!" The next one that she hated was... Oh, it was Jojo, who I was forgetting before. Was Ruview. Was Jojo's. "Oh, This doesn't make any sense. And Cut Circle? That's awful. The next one was Quantum Entanglement because, oh, it is so dark and horrific hospital and all these sad names. It's depressing. Oh, it's awful. And finally, that means that only leaves one. That leaves Better Than America, which she thought was, oh, so vulgar. And Curtis is a nice boy. I like Curtis. Why would anybody want to say fuck Curtis? Oh, it's awful. So Brazil is eliminated, and the first one that she heard was ended up being her favorite, which was Kat. So Kat advances to Judge 5, and Brazil is eliminated. So Kat goes to round 5. Judge 4, Chantal is back in now, Jojo, and Rhonda. And now it's my turn. So I decided, so Kat is already advancing to Judge 5. I decided it was so tough. But I advanced Ruview and Jojo because I felt like his names were relatively short and sweet. They rolled off the tongue well. It was funny. And the crescents and the courts and the boulevards and the circles all matched up, whereas Rhonda had some that were off. I was close between Jojo and Rhonda, which means, Chantal, your names, they were so funny, but they were just too long. Like, for instance, Monica Lewinsky's blue dress could have been Lewinsky's dress lane. Also, Columbine High School was a big risk. I think that was too soon for that. What's the other one that could have been shorter? Kanye interrupting Taylor Swift Street could have just been Kanye Taylor Street. And people would have gotten it from that. Ellen, I'm Gay, DeGeneres Drive. Ellen, I'm Gay Drive. I don't know. Like Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee's sex tape drive. Anderson and Lee's sex tape. Or Pamela Tommy sex tape. I don't know. It just, for me, the length was an issue. But they were funny. I'll give you that. So Chantal is eliminated. This leaves us with 3. Jojo has made it to Judge 6. For Judge 5, rather, we have Shelby, and she's judging between Kat and Chilltown, and Rhonda and Quantum Entanglement. Let's see what Shelby had to say. Shelby said, "Hi, I'm Shelby, and I smile a lot." So Chilltown was super entertaining, but they put the word town in their town name, so it said Town of Chilltown, and it felt kind of out of place. It was such a tiny thing because it was still amazing, but I needed to pick one. And while Backdoor Throughway was hilarious, I just felt that the Quantum one was more creative, and as a result, the town name made more sense to me. More cohesive idea. So creativity was my reasoning, with Quantum being more out-of-the-box thinking. So Rhonda advances to Judge 6. Kat, you are eliminated. So we're down to Rhonda and Jojo with Melanie from Season 1 as the guest judge. When I told Melanie, she didn't know who sent what. When I told Melanie that Chad was Elements, she thought, first thing I thought when I looked, oh, her voice. First thing I thought when I looked at Elements was, is this person dumb? So that makes sense. I really wasn't wowed by any of them. She was the only one that said that. Everybody else loved them. They should all be nominated as a result. She said, the RuPaul references in Review were funny, but don't make for remotely reasonable names or street names, so the win goes to Quantum. Congratulations, Rhonda! You have won the Topaz and Emerald Power of Vetoes. You have until 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to privately message me whether you are using the Topaz Power of Veto on yourself, Kat, Curtis, or Chad. So, tomorrow, who will Rhonda use the Topaz Power of Veto on? And what will Joanne's roast be? That's tomorrow. Tuesday, the final 3 nominees plead their case, and we celebrate Kat and Chantal's birthday with a special guest. And Wednesday is the next live double eviction, where not 1 but 2 house guests will be evicted from the Big Brother Cheesecake 5 house. Head to Redempble Temple, where they will join Joanne, where 1 will stay and 2 will be permanently evicted, making the first 2 members of the jury. I'm Andrew Shevsik Moonves. Take care, and remember, Jonathan is cute. Good night.